Good morning. Welcome to this Commerce Committee executive session where we're considering 4 bills and 3 nominees. First, we will consider restoring the Resilient Reefs Act of 2021, co-sponsored by Senators Rubio, Schatz, Hirona, Scott, and Coons. This bill will reauthorize the Coral Reef Conservation Act and strengthen conservation efforts. Healthy coral reefs protection critical habitats for 1/4 of marine life, tourism opportunities, and infrastructure for our coastal communities. We will also consider legislation from Ranking Member Wicker and Senators Gillibrand and Collins, the Improving Protections for Midshipmen Act, which would improve how the Maritime Administration, Merchant Marine Academy, and Coast Guard respond to sexual assaults and harassment. For the first time, this bill would give the Coast Guard the authority to revoke merchant mariner license if a mariner commits sexual assault or sexual harassment. Passage of this legislation will send a strong message that we are investing in our maritime industry and working to ensure a safe and inclusive workplace for all. Next, the committee will vote on the Securing Semiconductor Supply Chains Act of 2021. I want to thank Senator Peters, Scott, and Blackburn for their work on this issue, especially Senator Peters for his leadership. This bill would help strengthen the U.S. semiconductor manufacturing ecosystem. It would help states attract direct investment in the semiconductor industry through the Department of Commerce Select USA program. In this Congress, this and another bill brought forth to the committee are really trying to address our larger supply chain challenges. Next, we will be considering the Omnibus Travel and Tourism Act of 2021, sponsored by Senators Wicker, Rosen, Cortez Masto, Klobuchar, King, Blunt, Sullivan, Scott, and Sinema. This bill includes provisions that would support and enhance domestic travel and tourism, improve safety for visitors entering the United States, and further help the travel and tourism industry recover from the impacts of COVID-19. We also aim to advance a number of nominations during today's session. The first will be a vote on the nomination of Alan Davidson to be the Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Communications Information at the Department of Commerce. I look forward to working with Mr. Davidson to ensure that NTIA achieves strategic and efficient deployment of broadband dollars, and worked and met with him on the importance of addressing affordability. So after our personal conversation, I believe Mr. Davidson is committing to working with us and the committee on not just the legislation that has been passed so far, but on making sure that broadband really does address affordability issues in the future and the need for any future legislation that would help us make those investments. As the agency's largest broadband investment in our nation's history, to finally bridge the digital divide is more critical than ever, and so we encourage him to use his strong leadership at NTIA to meet those goals. Next, we will vote on the nomination of Dr. Jed Koh to be Undersecretary of Economic Affairs at the Department of Commerce. The Undersecretary for Economic Affairs is responsible for providing economic analysis, disseminating national economic indicators, serving as the administrator of the department's premier statistical programs, including the Bureau of Economics Analysis and Census Bureau. He will bring a wealth of private sector experience to this job, and I look forward to his confirmation. And next, we will consider the nomination of Vicar Ahmad to be Assistant Secretary for Administration and Chief Financial Officer of the Department of Commerce. This is a critical role, as we saw during the hearing, the annual budget for the department, but billions of dollars in funding that have been allocated by the bipartisan infrastructure law, and how important it is to oversee that deployment. Mr. Ahmad is incredibly qualified to lead in this role and has had multiple leadership roles in the U.S. government, including as Deputy Chief Financial Officer in the U.S. House of Representatives. So I look forward to his confirmation as well. I will now turn to Ranking Member Wicker for any opening remarks.
Thank you, Senator Cantwell. Today's executive session includes multiple bipartisan bills that are a result of several months of collaborative work and that I'm pleased to support. In a few moments, we will vote to advance the Omnibus Tourism Act of 2021, which Senator Rosen and I sponsored. The travel and tourism industry is a vital pillar of the American economy. COVID-19 has devastated this industry perhaps more than any other sector. Over the past several months, 12 senators formed a working group to negotiate and package together bipartisan legislation to support travel and tourism recovery. Our work has led to the Omnibus Tourism Act, also known as the Tour Bus. This package of bills includes important contributions from Senators Cantwell, Rosen, Rick Scott, Klobuchar, Blunt, Sullivan, Schatz, Cortez Masto, King, Kramer, and Murkowski. And I would like to recognize the efforts of very important staff people in this regard, Darian Flowers, Chapin Greger, and Mary Asa England, for their work in helping to shepherd this package. Additionally, I would like to thank Senator Cantwell for including the Improving Protections for Midshipmen Act in this markup. This bill would strengthen prevention, response, investigation, and accountability for sexual assault and sexual harassment in the maritime industry and provide additional safeguards to protect midshipmen at the United States Merchant Marine Academy. These thoughtful forms should not be delayed, and I'm hopeful that Senator Cantwell will continue to work with me to ensure this committee does all it can to reduce sexual harassment and assault at the Merchant Marine Academy, on land and at sea. Indeed, we are committed to finding a solution for this severe problem at all of our military academies. And let me add at this point, Madam Chair, that I very much appreciate the leadership for the United States Merchant Marine Academy for agreeing to begin the sea year this month, now that a number of important administrative changes have been made at the Academy. This is very important for protection of our midshipmen, but it's also very important that they get their sea year in. And so I certainly want the leadership there and in the department as a whole to know that we, having made these reforms and having committed ourselves to enshrining them in the statutes of the United States, we expect the sea year to begin this month as promised. I'm disappointed that my Freight Act is not on the agenda. This bill would create greater federal oversight over the supply chain by addressing unlawful shipping conduct, incentivizing new technologies, enhancing efficiency, encouraging transparency, and leveraging data to identify future improvements. We need to expedite the Freight Act, and I hope we can work together to move this bill expeditiously. Today's agenda, as the chair has mentioned, includes important nominations. For example, Jed Colco to be Undersecretary of Commerce for Economic Affairs, Alan Davidson to be Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Communications and Information at the Department of Commerce, Vakar Ahmad to be Assistant Secretary for Administration and Chief Financial Officer at the Department of Commerce. I plan to make the motion to advance these three fine nominees. Lastly, I am dismayed that the dedicated Coast Guard flag officer candidates for the rank of Rear Admiral, lower half, have again been left off today's agenda, even though the committee has had ample time to review their strong records. I hope whatever stumbling blocks can be removed and that these deserving individuals will soon be considered and confirmed so that they can assume critical leadership roles in the Coast Guard without further delay. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Wicker. And I want to thank our colleagues for being here. We're one of the busiest committees in Congress, and I think we want to use our colleagues' time efficiently. So I'm going to ask for a motion. I'm recognizing Senator Wicker.
Madam Chair.
Senator Wicker.
I move that S-46, the Restoring Resilient Reefs Act of 2021, as amended by the Schatz substitute as modified. S-3196, the Improving Protections for Midshipmen Act as amended by the Wicker substitute as modified. S-3309, Securing Semiconductor Supply Chains Act of 2021 as amended by the Peters substitute as modified, and S 3375, the Omnibus Travel and Tourism Act of 2021 as amended by the Rosen substitute. Lee 3 as modified, Lee 4 as modified, and Rosen 1 as modified be favorably reported.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. I now recognize Senator Wicker for a further motion.
I move that PN 1321, the nomination of Alan Davidson of Maryland to be Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Communications and Information. PN 1221, the nomination of Jed Kolko of California to be Undersecretary of Commerce for Economic Affairs, and PN 1048 and 1049, the nomination of Vicar Ahmad of Texas to be Assistant Secretary for Administration and Chief Financial Officer at the Department of Commerce be favorably reported.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is,
Madam Chair, I would like to be recorded as a no on the nomination of Alan Davidson.
okay, the motion is agreed to, and Senator Thune would like to be recorded as a no on
Madam
Davidson.
Chairman, may I be
Yes.
recorded as a no on Davidson?
As well as Senator Blackburn?
Got to be recorded as a no on all three.
Okay. Senator Scott to be recorded as no on all three nominees. Okay, that concludes our votes today. I thank our colleagues for
Madam
their
Chair.
attendance today. That includes the votes. I'm going to stay here for any comments that members would like to make about the legislation, but I just want to thank all our colleagues for being here in such a timely fashion and helping us move important legislation and nominees through the process. So with that, Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Chair Cantwell, Ranking Member Wicker, for holding today's markup and for passing the Omnibus Travel and Tourism Act. 8 months ago, I held my first hearing as chair of the newly formed subcommittee on tourism, trade, and export promotion. Since that time, there have been some positive trends for the travel and tourism industry and its workforce. However, we must continue to work towards bringing back travel and tourism jobs, and that requires us to take steps to bring more visitors to the United States. I was proud to join Ranking Member Wicker and more than half a dozen of our colleagues in putting together a package of bipartisan bills that will do just that. Our bipartisan Omnibus Travel and Tourism Act, or the Tour Bus, as I like to call it, will create jobs and further support the recovery of the travel and tourism industry by establishing permanent leadership in the federal government on travel policies and strengthening the Department of Commerce's role in coordinating federal travel and tourism policies. It's going to support the recovery of the travel and tourism industry by also studying innovative ways to screen airport travelers for COVID-19. And it's going to establish a joint task force to address the unique impact of COVID-19 on air travel, both during and after the pandemic, amongst numerous other provisions. I'm proud of the work that the members of our subcommittee have done to create this package. I particularly want to thank Chair Cantwell for supporting this bipartisan effort, Ranking Member Wicker for his team's significant role in crafting the package and facilitating discussions, Subcommittee Ranking Member Scott for his leadership on airport screening provisions, and Senators Klobuchar, Sullivan, and Blunt for their major substantive contributions to the bill. Several other members of this committee are co-leading provisions in the draft omnibus, Senators Markey, Schatz, Sinema, and Blumenthal, just to name a few. Senator King has joined us as an original co-sponsor of this legislation. And I also want to thank my colleague from Nevada, Senator Cortez Masto, for her team's contributions to the development of this legislative package. And I look forward to continuing to partner with her to advance policy changes that grow Nevada's travel and tourism economy. Again, thank you, Chair Cantwell. Thank you to the committee for advancing this critically important legislation.
Thank you, Senator Rosen. Thank you for your leadership on it, and thanks for the subcommittee's aggressive actions following on Senator Klobuchar and Blunt's aggressive actions on tourism. I feel like we're continuing building a very broad coalition of members who really do understand this issue and want to make the right investments. Any other members would like to be recognized on this issue or any other issue? If not, the markup is adjourned.